My name is Helen Bowe. I live in Davie, Florida, and have for about 30 years or so. My husband and I were basically just middle-aged now, blue-collar workers. We're just getting to the point where we were trying to seriously consider retirement. We were thinking we were going to be greeters at Walmart in our 80s and 90s just to pay the bills. And that was the big thing, the massive amount of credit cards we had put that debt on, and the interest charges, that they're all gone now. They're all paid off. It's a wonderful feeling to know that we were looking at the minimum payments and thinking 30 years from now, we still won't have it paid off. And now 20 years prior to before that would have happened, we've got them paid.
My name is Bill Curtis, and I have one of my clients with me today, Helen Bowe, and we're going to talk about her experiences with her banking policy. So, Helen, maybe you want to introduce yourself, and then you can explain to the people that are going to watch the video how this all got started, because I know you have an interesting story over the years that we've been doing this as we got to know each other.
My name is Helen Bowe. I live in Davie, Florida, and have for about 30 years or so. My husband and I were basically just middle-aged now, blue-collar workers. We're just getting to the point where we were trying to seriously consider retirement. Going back a few years, the housing market had crashed. We had construction, which my husband is in the construction business, crashed. So we had a lot of setbacks, and as we were getting older, looking toward retirement, we were seeing our bills escalate and our goals of retiring just kind of slipping away at the age we could retire. We were thinking we were going to be greeters at Walmart in our 80s and 90s just to pay the bills, because like I said, as the market crashed and my husband's work had dried up, we used credit cards to pay utility bills, to pay repairs or replacement of appliances, things that day-to-day living, that unexpected events that cost money, a couple of injuries, things that you just don't expect, car repairs. So our credit card debt was incredible at a point just after the market crash, and as we were starting to make plans for retirement. So it wasn't looking too good. We were kind of not looking forward to an early or a easy retirement. At this point in time, I had a girlfriend who had come across a couple of free seminars at the library, and I had gone to some seminars at work for planning for retirement regarding Social Security, and had seen how dreary it was looking for us as we age and what we could retire with. So I really didn't want to go. I had no desire, but she needed the ride, and she went with me to the free yoga class. So I said, all right, I'll go with you to the free tax seminar, and just figured it would be taxes, Social Security, the same stuff I had heard at our workplace pre-retirement seminars. So that's where I met Bill and his partner. They had done an introduction and talked about what you needed, the 3 tiers you needed for retirement, the Social Security, pension, and savings to be able to live comfortably in retirement. I really was like half listening, but after the seminar, they had a survey sheet, and since it was a good presentation, I filled out my name, and I guess I checked the button for a free consultation. Well, it turned out to be one of the best things I did. Bill notified me, and begrudgingly, I had him come to my house. I explained our situation, which I was embarrassed because the amount of debt we had for our age, it just was looking very dreary. So Bill did come and work with me, and I provided him with, I'm a very visual person, so I provided him with spreadsheets of all kinds of bills that I owed. I had like 22 credit cards and interest rates of 22% and looking at just not getting out of debt soon. So Bill worked with me, and we started to make some plans to put the money into the banking system he has and pay off the debts by using that money. He explained it as paying yourselves to pay off the debt rather than paying the banks. So I was very confused about it, but my husband seemed to think it was a good plan. So we went with it, and every 6 months to a year, Bill would get in touch with us and say, okay, you've built up a little more funds in your account, and we can pay off another one of the cards or two of the cards. And we did this several times, and each time my little spreadsheet was getting shorter and shorter. I was getting more bills paid off. One of the biggest things we had outstanding was a huge equity loan that we had done. We had redone the kitchen. We ended up with electrical problems and more expenses than we ever imagined. The AC went, everything. So the amount of money, I just didn't think we were ever going to pay it off. And after Bill worked with us through the years to pay off the credit cards, we just recently paid our last big bill, which was the equity loan. And now we are looking at, within the next 2 years, paying off a new car, which I had to purchase after I had injured myself and couldn't drive my old Honda stick shift. So we're hoping to pay that off, as well as the condominium, so that I can retire at the age that I wanted to retire at. So I'm feeling good and optimistic now.
Well, I think what's happened is when we first met, I guess your goal was, as you just explained, was how do I pay this debt off? Because I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So at some point in the beginning, because I always hear this, did it ever sound too good to be true?
Yes,
what I was
it did.
telling?
Yes, it did. Because of the massive amount of credit cards we had. I mean, you were talking about chipping away at little ones first, and we were like, well, why wouldn't we pay the big ones off first if we could? And it was very confusing to us as the process, but we trusted in you. And as the little ones got paid off and the money's built up, we started amazingly, which I was surprised, have enough funds to pay off some of the bigger ones. I don't understand the concept. My husband does, and it's working.
Well, Greg, as you said right in the beginning, he's the numbers guy.
Correct.
And I remember when we did first meet, he listened. He didn't really say much, and when he interjected, he said, "No, I get how the numbers work." And the thing you did say, which I really appreciate, is, I was probably the 10th or 12th guy that came and gave you their pitch about, hey, this is what, and somehow there's always, a coronavirus or, tragedies where, buildings collapse and, oh, well, we didn't know that was going to happen. And, that's why this didn't happen. But through all of that, you just kept, hammering away at it. And I know we spoke at one point just recently when I was on with you and your husband, when we were talking about paying off that second mortgage or HELOC or, equity line, whatever it was. And we were talking, and, you kind of were like, how did all this happen? It all just kind of happened over a period of time, because when we first met, I think you were putting money in some kind of a retirement plan, like a couple $100, and now you're saving like 7 or 8 times that, which is the minimum payments that you've had in the past. And I know through paying this off, you also had, as you said, some new bills. I know you redid your kitchen. I believe even your husband had to retire because he had hurt his back.
Correct. All unexpected things that we were not expecting to have to pay, or income we didn't expect to lose.
But I think through all of this, when we talked, I'm not going to say the year, but I said, you're going to have everything paid off before this, your age, a certain age. And through all of that, with other expenses, somehow that's still going to happen, probably like a year ahead of time still.
Correct.
And I remember you and your husband were thanking me for what I did, but it really wasn't me, because it was you. And I asked you in the beginning, it had to be hard to do this, to find, because there are times when it was it seemed kind of like a bill, even though it's not a bill, but somehow you struggled through that to get to now you're at the top of the mountain. So could you explain to people a little bit about that? How, it's a process you go through, but the longer you go through it, it gets easier.
Right. At first, I was kind of confused as to, well, we're still paying all this money out. We're not really saving anything because we're paying the money into this now instead of into the credit card. So I was hesitant even to tackle new cards or to make new payments, because then I'd have to pay it all back into the bank account. But you were very good about continually contacting me and forcing me, or not forcing me, but encouraging me to get cracking on more bills that could be paid down, to trust the process. And that was the hardest thing for me, was to trust the process. I was like, I still couldn't see how we were going to get ahead. We're still paying out the thousands of dollars, but actually we didn't have the credit card debt, that interest that was building up, which was killing us. And that was the big thing, the massive amount of credit cards we had put that debt on, and the interest charges, that they're all gone now. They're all paid off. It's a wonderful feeling to know that we were looking at the minimum payments and thinking 30 years from now, we still won't have it paid off. And now 20 years before that would have happened, we've got them paid.
Well, the money was still, I guess the hard part is you were still paying the money.
Yes.
But as you know now, it went in a different direction. You redirected it from third-party lenders, people you borrowed from, and you now redirected it back to your own banking your entity that you own, which happens to be a life insurance policy. So the money was still going out of your pocket, but instead of somebody else's pocket, it went back into your pocket.
I get it now. I did not then. But luckily, my husband did and encouraged me to go forward with this, which we did.
And I know you've always said, because a couple of times we've talked about it, where paying off the debt, to borrow the money against your policy, because your policy still kept earning interest and dividends. And it was a hard thing, I know, in the beginning for you. Well, why am I borrowing money to pay off something? Why don't I just pay it off first? But I think now, and you can probably talk about that, you and your husband probably certainly encouraged you that as you're doing that, your money's still growing. So can you kind of educate people on how that all came about for you? That I'm paying debts off and somehow my money's still, I'm using it twice, so to speak.
Right. Well, like I said, I am not a money person. I couldn't grasp the concept, but when I would get my statements and when I would speak with you and I'd see how much money was building up, I was amazed. I actually thought it was illegal. I couldn't believe how we could be doing this and making money, but again, you're a reputable person. You've got the information that I lacked, but it works. And my husband was good enough to convince me to do it. So it's amazing to see it actually come to fruition.
And I know we talked a little about this previously, but did this happen as quickly as you thought it would? Because I know you had apprehension in the beginning, probably didn't even think, but as it started to happen, and I use you as an example for all my clients, and you know I say this to you all the time, you have really done it by the book. You haven't accelerated it, you haven't slowed it down, you just literally, which I appreciate, you having blind faith in me, but it's really the process that did it. I was just a messenger. So
we wish we had accelerated it now, but it was a scary thing, a scary concept to me. So I was willing to take it slow. Just steady and slow is usually the way I go. So to me, it wasn't a race to the finish. It was to get to the finish line. And I feel like we're just about there.
You can see it now, because I think we have the car, which you're going to pay off. We just talked probably in August.
Exactly.
Do it sooner, but we want to keep a little extra cushion in there for emergencies. And the mortgage on your home will be 10, 12 months after that. And you know why? Because all the money that was going somewhere else is now going back to accelerate that payment. And if you can explain this to people, we talked the last time where you said, well, I'm going to have, about $40,000 a year. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
We talked about other policies, and then we talked about your grandchildren. So if you could just, expound on that, how you feel about that situation.
Well, it is exciting to realize that I will now have extra funds that I'll be able to work with. And even as the grandchildren, if things come up, if I can help them, now I can help them, and I'm not putting myself in further debt. Whereas before, I'd have been using a credit card or something to repair a car for one of the kids to help them keep working or going to school. Now, I don't have to do that. Now it feels good to know that if they need the help, I can do it without putting myself in the hole.
Yeah, and we even talked a little bit about, and we'll see how that goes, maybe doing policies on them so that when they graduate,
when they get old enough and are in the workforce, I would like to see them use the same concept. In fact, I'm trying to get my son, he's working now, he's been working steady, and now that we've explained it to him a little bit, he's interested. So it's something I want to share with my family, because I think they'd all benefit from it.
You know what we'll do? We'll send you the book. We can send it, and he can read it, which will help him understand. And when he's ready, we'll talk to him. So when you first got into this, what would you say your goals were? What were you really looking to do? Probably, hopefully, eliminate your debt and get to retirement. And now that you've done this for, we just talked 5 years, what do you see now?
Yeah, my goals were really just to get out from crushing debt. I was feeling overwhelmed, and, to think that you're going to have to maybe declare bankruptcy or something because you can't afford to pay your bills is a very horrible feeling. So for this to have happened when it did, when we were kind of at our lowest, and to see it actually evolve into what it has, to get the payments all zeroed out, it's encouraging. It's something that I want to share with other people and say, look, there's a way to get out of debt. You just have to trust in the process and find the right people that can help you do it. You can't just do any scheme or any type of fly-by-night scam. You've got to find people that are knowledgeable in where the money can be used, or how to do it legally, legitimately, but to benefit you. And it's people like me who don't know where to go, that I just happened to luck into a free seminar that I met people who could help me. So just trust in the system, trust in yourself, and your gut feelings. If you feel they're good, and giving you good information, check it out. If it's good, it'll be to your advantage.
Well, I think that probably the biggest thing is, people always talk about investing. I'm going to put this money and I'm going to invest. and they never consider the fact that they have debt. Like you said, you had a bunch of debt with high credit cards. And, we talked in the past that if you had a 24% credit card, when you pay that off, not pay it down, but as you paid it off, you actually were guaranteeing yourself a 24% return, tax-free, because you don't have to pay that credit card at 24% interest with after-tax dollars.
Right.
So, and the process, as you found out, is guaranteed.
Yes.
When you look on a Monday and see how much money you have, and you can see that, and you look the following Monday, it's higher. Not significantly higher,
No.
but it's there, and it's
Yes.
growing tax-free. So, what would you tell people that were in your position in the beginning, and your feeling of, wow, I'm older now, I shouldn't be in this position, but I'm in this position. I may have to file bankruptcy. I may have to have my family help me. So if you could talk about that, and then how you feel now, and the process that you and your husband, jointly worked on together. You did the grunt work. He had the numerical acuity to figure it all out and trust it.
Yeah, you have to have the trust, and you do have to do some groundwork. You've got to get yourself in the right mindset to look at all your expenses. You can't just keep paying them without knowing what the finance charges are, what the balances are. You've got to get organized. I think you've got to put it on black and white and see where you stand, to be able to see the improvements or changes, whether for the good or for the worse. You want to see where you stand. Not knowing was something I did for years, because I knew I was in the hole, and I didn't want to know. I didn't want to see it on black and white, to see exactly how much debt we have. You can't ignore it. It doesn't go away. The best way to tackle it is to hit it head on. You don't have to take giant steps. You just have to chip away at, as Bill would say, chip away a little bit at a time until you get the massive block of ice that's in your way small enough to melt it and kind of slide home free.
But the process hasn't really changed what you've done. It's basically just doing one more thing, I would say.
Correct.
And
still paying the bill. It's
right.
Just now it's paying it to ourselves, to our account that's growing for us, instead of continually paying off other people's interest charges.
Right. In the beginning, I know, like you said, we went slow, and the first, it's kind of like getting in shape or working out or pushing a snowball up the hill. It's hard in the beginning, but as you go, you saw that as you paid off a debt and put that money that used to go there into, we call it, back into your bank, back into the policy, it kind of snowballed so that the next one came a little quicker. And then you did the same thing. And
that was the amazing part. That's the part I don't understand, but I am completely happy about.
I mean, yeah, like we talked earlier, you're at the point now where your savings is now in a place that, because when we first met, it was in a government retirement plan that we talked at the time, that it was there. You could use it, but you pay penalties.
Correct.
And with this, you can use it. There's no penalties, no interest. And while you're using it to eliminate your debt, it's still earning interest and dividends. So it's working twice.
Yep.
So if you could just tell the people that are going to watch this video, because as we talk, I'm going to post this on our website in various places, and I want people to see, because you are, to them, you're going to be a hero, so to speak, because you were the one.
Maybe an example, not a hero, an example.
Okay, so you're going to you've got to give them the advice. So what advice would you give them, the person that's sitting here that was in your position 6 years ago, before you took the journey to that presentation at the library? If you could take them from there to how you feel today, and so that they can kind of see, because I just did a presentation with a woman just this week, and we talked about her debt, and we had spoken to her back in July, and she didn't do anything, and she ended up having to sell her house to pay down mortgage, pay down some debts. She still had debts, and when I said to her, she's a young woman, she's in her 40s, how are you going to feel 30 years from now when you're still looking at this debt? And she started crying.
Yep.
And then we talked about, when I ran the information for her, she's going to have it paid off in less than 3 years. So we're going to change those tears from agony to joy. So if you could just tell people your feeling, your transition from where you were, where you went, and how you see, because you said to me, what am I going to do at one point when I pay off what am I going to do with all this money that that used to go somewhere else?
Yeah, it's a scary thing when you think you'll never be out of debt, but it's always comforting to know that if you work at it, if you have someone the right knowledge with the right knowledge, and you work at it, that it's doable. It's takes a little bit of faith. You need to feel comfortable trusting sometimes, because there were times when, as other bills came in or other unexpected things happened, that I was like, oh, I wish we didn't have that big amount going out this month, but we were paying it anyway, whether it was to the credit cards or not. So now at least it's building up money for us, which is a wonderful thing, because as I said in the beginning, when I first looked at all my credit cards seriously, looked at the amount of debt we had, we were thinking we would be working well into our 80s. And now in our 60s and 70s, early 70s, we're both going to be retired with enough money to live comfortably, and possibly even a little bit, purchase a little bit of land, which we were considering, but had no options to do so, no funds to do so. So now we are entertaining that idea, and it's a wonderful feeling.
And the thing is, I guess, when you buy, if you buy that property or that land, you're not going to have to go to a third party to beg for the loan and pay them back.
Yes.
And you're not going to take it out of a bank and lose the opportunity of using that money. What you're going to do is use your own bank. You're going to use your money as collateral, borrow against it, buy the property, and you're going to pay it back just like you would to a third party.
Exactly.
But the money's going back into your pocket.
Just a good feeling. Like I said, at first I didn't believe it was true, but now that I see it's true, it's a very good feeling.
And what would you say to the people that are still skeptical, that they don't know you, they don't know me, in order for them to free themselves from the bondage of debt? You
need to, you need to be able to forward think. You can't stay in a bad place. If you sit on a railroad track, even if you stay still, you're going to get run over eventually. So you've got to take a stand, whether it's right or wrong. So you might as well take the right stand and find the way to pay off the debt, instead of falling in a depressed state because of the debt. So you got to move forward, is what I would say. Like I said, we didn't do giant baby steps. We did little giant steps. We did little baby steps. So take it from me. You can do it even by taking baby steps, but get started.
Did Greg just come in? Does he want to say?
Yes. I think he's tired.
Okay.
It's hot out there today.
All right. So I appreciate you giving this information to people that are untrusting, and I understand why, because we've heard the same thing over and over. When people come to your home or you meet them somewhere, advisors, they always talk about what your assets are. How much money do you have? I'm going to invest it. I'm going to try to grow it. You've gone a different route. You took a guaranteed route, and there's no big gains, but there's no losses.
No, right.
Kind of like the hare and the tortoise. But you kept at it,
Yeah.
And do you feel if you had accelerated it, like you said earlier, if you had put more money in, really blind faith, this would have accelerated quicker?
Oh, definitely. I wish we had, but like I said, even just moving slowly got us to where we are now. Had we moved a little quicker and I've been a little more aggressive, I think we would have been sitting even better. It's something you got to do with what you're comfortable with, and this is what I was comfortable with. So just go with what your gut and your heart tells you to do, but do it.
Well, the book that I'm going to send you, in the book, it says people need to think long term, because the 20 years are going to go by. So in your case, the 5 years were going to go by, whether you liked it or not. And the 5 years went by, and the debt went kind of bye-bye,
Yes.
So, okay, so I appreciate you saying all these things. Is there any last thing that you would like to say before you go away? And
it's a wonderful feeling to know that you can retire with all your bills paid, all your credit card paid, all your equity loans or whatever. It's a good feeling to be somewhere where I didn't think I was. And I think everyone should look into this. Everyone should take a step in the right direction, and I'm glad we did.
All right. And the last thing I'll ask is, based on what you did you do anything? Was there anything really outstanding that you had to do to make this work? In other words, do you think it'll work for anyone that has discipline, desire, and determination to follow?
Yeah, I think it'll work for anyone. I didn't do anything different other than pay the bills, only directed them to a different payment source, which now pays me, which is the smartest thing I've done in a long time.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me so much time on a weekend afternoon to explain to some other people that are out there. And that's where I say you could be a hero to them, because your words could make one or two, or we don't know how many people decide to change their life by simply controlling the banking function in their life, which is essentially what you did. You control the banking function, and by doing that, your life has changed. You eliminated your debts, you purchased cars, you redid your kitchen. Like you said, I kept spending money and incurring debt. How am I ever going to do this? But it's kind of like a seesaw.
Yes.
You were way up here on the top. In the beginning, it was all debt, and now it's pretty much all gone, and it's
true.
Nothing to do but a system that works and a person that works the system.